If you're thinking about setting up an offshore company, you've probably come across the British Virgin Islands as an option. BVI companies are everywhere in the English-speaking business world, and there's a reason they're so popular. They're incredibly easy to incorporate, the jurisdiction speaks English, and it's generally seen as a safe, stable place to do business. Banks are more willing to open accounts for BVI companies than they are for entities from some other offshore jurisdictions. But here's the thing, and this is what most people don't realize. All of these factors that make BVI companies seem attractive actually make them a terrible choice for most people looking to go offshore. Let's look at why that's the case. Welcome back to the Liberty Mundo channel, where we help high net worth individuals protect their assets, secure multiple citizenships, and legally minimize taxes. Visit libertymundo.com and get in touch for personalized strategies. You see, to maintain its reputation as the acceptable face of the offshore world, the BVI has had to bend over backwards for every single directive, from the OECD and from tax-hungry Western governments demanding full transparency. They've essentially given up everything that once made offshore companies attractive in the first place. Think about why most people want to set up an offshore structure. It usually comes down to two main goals: avoiding high rates of taxation and protecting their assets from potential creditors or lawsuits. Well, I hate to break it to you, but a BVI company fails spectacularly at both of these objectives. Let's talk about taxes first. The biggest mistake people make when setting up an offshore company is failing to plan how they're actually going to use it. If you live in the UK or the USA, you need to understand something called Controlled Foreign Corporation Rules, or CFC rules for short. These rules essentially mean that if you're a resident of these high-tax countries and you control an offshore company, your tax authorities will treat that offshore company as if it were a local company for tax purposes. So picture this. You've just spent good money setting up your shiny new BVI company where you're the only director and shareholder. Guess what? It's going to do absolutely nothing to help you avoid taxes in your home country. In fact, it might actually make things worse by putting a giant target on your back for extra scrutiny from your local tax collector. They see a BVI company on your tax return, and suddenly you're getting audited every year. Now let's move on to asset protection, which is arguably even more important than tax savings for many people. The situation here is just as grim. The BVI courts will recognize and enforce foreign judgments. What does this mean in practical terms? Let's say someone sues your company and gets a judgment against you in London or Miami. All they have to do is take that judgment to a court in the BVI, get it rubber stamped, and boom, they can start seizing the assets of your supposedly protected offshore company. So much for asset protection. But wait, there's more bad news. Maybe you're thinking, well, at least I'll get some privacy out of this arrangement. Wrong again. The BVI is now fully committed to transparency, and you'll be required to disclose who the beneficial owner is to your registered agent in the BVI. And here's the kicker. Any information you give to that registered agent is freely available to any government agency that asks for it under mutual legal assistance treaties. Your financial privacy? Gone. So let's recap. BVI companies fail on tax avoidance for most people, they fail on asset protection, and they fail on protecting your privacy. They're essentially useless for the three main reasons people go offshore in the first place. The good news is, there are much better options available if you know where to look. If asset protection is your main concern, Nevis companies offer some of the strongest asset protection laws in the world. If privacy is what you're after, Panama companies are excellent for this purpose, and the fact that they operate in Spanish provides an additional layer of complexity for anyone trying to dig into your affairs. Here's something that might surprise you. Even an onshore company, if it's structured correctly, is often a much better option than a BVI company. You'll have a far easier time opening bank accounts and establishing business relationships with a well-structured Irish or Serbian company than you ever will with a BVI company. Banks and other businesses are increasingly suspicious of BVI entities, and you'll face constant scrutiny and requests for additional documentation. The truth is, BVI companies might have been a great option 25 years ago when the offshore world operated very differently. But those days are long gone. Today, if you live in a high-tax, English-speaking country, There are many better options than a BVI incorporation. BVI companies may work for people who are already residents in a tax-friendly jurisdiction for specific projects. If someone is trying to sell you on the idea of a BVI company, you should be extremely cautious. They're either operating on outdated information from decades ago, or they're more interested in earning a commission than in actually helping you achieve your goals. Don't fall for the sales pitch. Do your homework, understand what you're actually trying to accomplish, and choose a structure that will actually work for your specific situation. Your future self will thank you for it. If you need to protect your assets and lower your taxes with an offshore company, check out taxfreecompanies.com from Liberty Mundo. You can instantly incorporate a company or set up a trust in any jurisdiction. Our experts can help you select the best option for your situation. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.